Bill Costarides. He is from Night Scalper. Now, Night Scalper was founded by Bill Costarides. He has been trading the S&P futures since it opened in 1997, and he recognized that changes were coming in the way people entered and exited the market. Now, after years and years of placing orders over the phone to the night desk at his broker, he was actually one of the pioneers to test some of the original electronic platforms. He has spent countless hours over the past 2 decades studying, trading, testing, staying in the lab till he got it right, which is what a real trader does to perfect his craft. His Greek heritage earned him the name Bill the Greek, and the rest is trading history. In 2010, he brought his strategy to traders across the globe, sharing his knowledge, his strategy, and his money management skills that have made him a world-recognized expert on trading the Globex. Located in Chicago Mercantile in Chicago, Illinois, the Globex is essentially the fastest and most reliable electronic trading system for futures and for options. Bill continues to study and prepare for what the market will bring, and he shares that information and experience every night in his online trading room with his students. He calls real trades in a live market with his own money and helps his listeners navigate from entry to target while managing the money along the way. So without any further delay, I bring to you Bill Costarides from Night Scalper.
All right, good morning everyone, and we thank you for taking some of your time on a Saturday. We know your weekends are precious, but my theory has been if you can learn one thing from the presenters that you're listening to this morning, it's probably been well worth your time. All right, so as they just mentioned, my name is Bill Costarides, and I think you could call me one of the old guys in the business. I started Merrill Lynch in 1977, and I've been around ever since. I've been trading the Globex, which we'll talk about if you're not familiar with that market, from inception, which is around the early 90s. And it is a very different market from trading during the day, even though you can trade the same financial contracts. Also with me is Woody. Woody is a retired real live rocket scientist. He retired from NASA in Florida, and after he retired he decided he would become a professional trader. He joined our chat room, and we became good friends, and now he is part of our team and one of our moderators and calls trades. So Woody will give you just a few minutes later on some of the technical indicators that we use. All right, sir, and he has control of the slides evidently, so I'll depend on him to turn those over. All right, Woody. So real quick, just let me ask you what market do you trade, because that will help me in determining which way to take this conversation this morning. All right, it's a goodly number of you trade stocks, it looks like, and futures looks to be the smaller amount of the options available. A lot of currency traders. All right. Okay, Woody. All right, so how many of you are familiar with the term the Globex or know what that is? All right, the Globex, for those of you who are not familiar with it, I guess you could call it another after-hours market, but it is the only place where you can trade futures after hours, or trade anything for that matter. And basically, it used to be separate, and it used to have its own trading times, but now it's almost seamless. And what happens now is you can literally trade financial futures 24 hours a day, with the exception about 45 minutes where the markets close down to reset margin calls and produce statements and reset their server, so to speak. But in the original days, the Globex would open at 3:30 in the evening. Now, all the times that I will use are central times, and it would trade till 8:15 in the morning. It would shut down, and then it would restart at 3:30 the next day, and of course U.S. market would start trading at 8:30. Now it's all seamless, and you can have a position on, say an E-mini. You could put it on at 3:30. You'll have a margin call if you still have it at 5 o'clock, but if you put it on at 5 o'clock, you can carry it, till 3:30 the next day or 4:45. And so the Globex is the original electronic platform. It is considered the grandfather of all the electronic platforms that you see today. And so I was involved, you know, in the very beginning with those trading platforms, and had an opportunity to use them and study them. And looking back now, you know, we had to be out of our mind. It was just a very, very small community of traders that use this system. I was a portfolio manager at Prudential at the time, Prudential Securities. That's where I went after I left Merrill. And I was looking for a way to hedge portfolios, and this is how I found the best way to do that was in this Globex market. So I got involved with it and began trading it. Now, the best thing I can tell you about the Globex, and many of you who try to trade the markets during the day, and we're talking about futures, you know, it's been a very tough trading environment, as many of you know. Nothing is like it used to be, but the Globex, the best part about it, it's an easier market to trade because it moves slower, it trends better, and here's one of my favorites. There are no computer buy and sell programs in this space at night. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you there aren't computers involved, but what I'm talking about, you don't have this high-frequency trading that goes on that, in my opinion, really skews the markets more so than what the markets used to do. Then we have trade signals that we've developed over all of these years, and I mean it's been a lot of years, since the early 90s, of course, that only work at night. These trade signals will not help you during the day, and because there's less volatility, we can use tighter stops. With tighter stops, there's less risk. Now, as we continue, I want you to also know the S&P E-mini, it is the only contract that we trade. Even though we look at a lot of other financial markets, we look at the currencies, we look at the bonds, we look at the Dow futures, we look at a lot of other markets to determine direction for the S&P. Now, in addition to trading the S&P, this is the only place in the world after the markets close where you can hedge your portfolio. So let's say you go home and you're fat and happy with your portfolio, it's doing real well, and then you wake up Monday morning to find out that there's been a tsunami in Japan or a Lehman Brothers event, because all these were events that happened after the markets in the U.S. were closed. And just about everything that changes the direction and look of these markets or the profile of these markets, I don't know why. It generally happens when the U.S. markets are closed. So this is the only place where if you find that you have a portfolio that all of a sudden it changes complete profile and the way you felt about it, where you can go in and hedge with futures and minimize your losses. Okay, Woody. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this because our time is limited, but this is just kind of an example of what that would look like if you wanted to get a feel for what it takes to hedge one contract with, say, $75,000 portfolio or $75,000 per contract. All right, sir. Now, I know we've all asked ourselves this question. I know I ask myself, on a regular basis, and we hear it talked about. We know it's important. What is the difference between an average trader and a successful one? And this first one doesn't surprise you. It's an effective plan. We all know you have to have an effective plan that you follow, that you're confident in and believe in. So after 24 years of doing this, this is what we've developed, and we're going to talk about it now. All right, key market times, proprietary signals and indicators, and the Greek isms. I know that sounds strange, but these are basically general concepts and trading signals that I've developed over the years, and they have been fondly nicknamed by the folks in the chat room Greek isms. Money management. Now, I know a lot of you have heard this talked about. I know a lot of you know that it is important. But I'll just tell you my opinion on it. If you do not have an effective money management system, you will not be successful on a consistent basis. That I can promise you. All right, let's take a look at these. Key market times. What's important to remember here is the U.S. is not in control during this time. Now, when I say during this time, it's generally from 5 in the evening till 5 in the morning. And I know a lot of you are saying, well, you know, I can't stay up after midnight. I have a life. I have a job. I have kids to raise. We know that and we understand that. But this is a 17-hour market, basically, and you can choose the time that fits your lifestyle in which to trade. For example, we have people from all over the world. We have quite a few from Australia, for example. Well, this is a great time for them to trade because it's their daytime market. But the key to remember here is that during the day when you're trading from 8:30 to 3:15, the U.S. is absolutely in control. But at night, that's not the case, and we'll explain that. Okay, Woody. All right, Asian control. That is the time where the markets go from 5 to midnight. That's how we define Asia. And over the years, I have developed, the markets that we need to watch and follow that affect the movement of the S&Ps. That's all we're looking for is what's moving the S&P and what direction is it going to go in. Now, if you were watching the market when they closed Thursday night, they closed around 53.5 on the S&P futures, and they quickly went down to 42.5 because they were carrying through on news from IBM's earnings, from what happened in the Gaza Strip, what happened in the Ukraine, and I think they just all piled on, and we had a big drop from the 53.5 to 42.5, and the Asian markets haven't even opened yet. It was an anticipation of what the Asian markets might do. Now, the markets that we watch during the Asian session are the Hang Seng and the Nikkei. Those are the markets that affect the S&Ps and can affect their movement. I know a lot of you will ask, well, why not about South Korea? They're an important economy, or Australia. Yes, those are important economies, but they do not affect the S&P when there's news. So the markets, when there's news or when there's events that are taking place or when it's just a normal night, if you can figure out what the Hang Seng and the Nikkei are going to do, then it helps you figure out what the S&Ps are going to do. Now, the European control, as we like to call it, that time frame is from 12 a.m. in the morning till 5 a.m., and the controlling markets there are the DAX and the FTSE. In the UK, the DAX in Germany, obviously the DAX because Germany is the largest economy in Europe, and then you have the UK, which is, well, as of now, it was before, then it was New York, now it's back to London. London's considered the financial market center of the world. So the international markets play a key role at night, where during the day, they do not affect the U.S. market unless there's been a major, major news item. Now, let me just give you an example to think about on a regular basis when we're trading. China. It's a communist country, and we have a tendency to forget that from time to time because they walk and talk capitalism. But it's still a communist-controlled country. It's a closed communist system. And you really didn't care a few years ago about China's GDP or their PMI, their production numbers. But today, guys and gals, you better know those numbers because when they come out, they can affect, the markets not only at night when they are announced, but in the morning when the U.S. markets open. How many times have you turned on CNBC after the U.S. Open to find out that the market's doing this or that because of China's GDP came in good or came in and was a disappointment or their manufacturing numbers were a miss? So today, you better know what's happening in other parts of the world because, as you all know, we are in a global economy. I mean, 5 years ago, you just didn't care about what was going on in China, but today you better know. Now, the key overnight trading time for us, now I'm not, sometimes we might shut down at 2 a.m., sometimes we finish at 3, Sometimes we carry a trade, you know, up till 7 a.m. in the morning. But for the most part, our key trading window is from 5 p.m. till 5 a.m. Sometimes we'll put a trade on before the close and carry it into the opening at 5 p.m. based on the way the market has closed, and we'll talk about that trade in a minute. So here's what's important. If you're ignoring the night session, or if you're not following at least what's going on in the Globex or this overnight market, you're missing out on 17 hours of valuable information in the 24-hour market. All right, I talked about these proprietary trading signals. We don't have time to get into all of them today, but I'll touch on a couple. Pivot times. There are times at night, just like they are during the day, when the markets are known to move, that we teach you and talk about and trade off of. Then you need to have some information of when the DAX, the FTSE, the Hang Seng, and the Nikkei are going to open. The markets in Asia go on break. Those times are important because the S&P has a tendency to move, for example, from 12:30 a.m. till 1 in the morning just before the DAX moves. We use the DOM at night. Now, most all of you have a depth of market on your electronic trading platform, and a lot of you put order entry on that DOM. At night, that DOM is a valuable indicator that we use that does not help you during the day. So there's just one example of how trading in this space at night is different than trading during the day. Now, I know I may be talking a little fast, but we're trying to, one, make up a little time, and two, try to stay within our schedule. All right. Other correlated markets, as I said before, we use the bonds. We look at the currencies such as the yen and the euro. Right now, if you can determine which way the yen's going, you can figure out which way the S&Ps are going. I won't get into that dynamic right now, but it has become a valuable tool in trying to determine market directions because of the quantitative easing that's going on in Japan, also in Europe, as in the United States. Many of you read about it and you know about it, and you don't want to get me started on that because that's a whole conversation coming out of my mouth. All right, Greek isms. As I said, these are just general patterns that we have recognized in this market over the years that I've been trading in this space, and there are some 15 proprietary trade setups that are designed to work specifically at night. And I'll give you a couple of those because, again, we just don't have time to get into all of them today. All right, Greekism number 11. It's the overnight short squeeze, and this is when you have bad news early during the day session, and then you get one, and we see this all the time, you know, bad news has been considered good news now because, oh, that means the Fed's going to keep rates lower for longer. You know this strategy and conversation. I'm not going to get into it. But, you know, you'll have this bad news. Usually it's something with the employment numbers or sentiment numbers. In fact, we had bad sentiment numbers this Friday. You know, it was a huge miss. We had some other negative reports that were a miss. Took the market up, you know, anyway, because, in my opinion, why we went up on Friday, and I know everyone was scratching their heads, it was just simply options expiration Friday. So when you get a short squeeze of that nature into the close, this is where they started down, got everyone short. Everyone and their brothers probably got short, you know, Thursday because of the news that we were seeing, you know, around the world. We saw negative earnings on IBM and a couple of others, and the next thing you know, everyone puts on a short position. They have a lot of shorts on the books, and they spend the rest of the day squeezing those shorts. In fact, I told the folks in the chat room that night the probability of a short squeeze Fridays is pretty high. So when they rally this market into the close, and it closes at the top tick of the last hour of trading, then it's usually an opportunity to, you know, carry a trade over on the short side, and you can scalp 2 or 3 points on the opening, maybe even hold it for longer. Okay, sir. All right, Greekism number 8, or trading indicator number 8, whichever you want to call it. And you see this a lot. You've seen it a lot in the last couple of years, especially. The Monday after options expiration week is usually up early. Now, why is that important? Well, the Globex opens at 5 o'clock on Sunday night, so we're actually trying to make money while the rest of the U.S. is sleeping or doing something else. We don't normally call trades on Sunday nights, but the room is open. We call trades in the chat room Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. We need a couple of days, to charge our batteries after being up all night during the week. But if you're trading Sunday night and you're short, and you know that at some point this market may turn around towards the U.S. opening, like around 4 in the morning or 5 in the morning, that helps you figure out what to do with that position. Now, nothing, guys and gals, happens 100% of the time in the trading business. You know it. I know it. And when we find something that works 75 to 80% of the time, you can make money and we can make money. And, nothing I'm talking about today happens 100% of the time. So 75 to 80% of the time, the Monday opening after options expiration Friday usually opens up. It may start to sell off after an hour and a half. It may just continue up the rest of the day. That we don't know. But we know there's a high probability the market will open up on Monday because there's still positions that are being, closed out from options expiration Friday. All right, sir. Money management. Now, this is where I see a lot of people, if they have a weakness in their discipline, this is it. This is the biggest mistake you're making with your trading if you do not have a disciplined and consistent money management system. Okay, sir. All right, so here's some of the biggest mistakes that we see when we first have someone who joins our group, or just among traders who I've observed who are starting out. Some, that have been trading for a long time still make these mistakes. The biggest one, and I think you'll understand, is overtrading. We know that overtrading is easy to do. We've all done it. Everything on this list we've probably done, and overtrading is one of them. Trying to hit home runs. We all have seen people who try to do that. We've all done that as well. Now this one, you may not have on in your mind is trading profits, not withdrawing your profits on a regular basis. In other words, you work hard, you develop a discipline, you spend a lot of time at your craft trying to hone it and become better at it, just like you would if you were playing golf or tennis. The more you do it, the better you get. But if you don't reward yourself on a regular basis, to me, it's just not as advantageous as usual. And it's like Pavlov's dog. The more you do something, you expect a reward for your efforts, and that's why we say, take money out of your account monthly or quarterly or, whatever suits your schedule, to reward yourself for your efforts. I know it doesn't sound like much, but psychologically, trust me, it helps. Now, here's another one that we see, and we have a good way to resolve this. It's either trading too many contracts or not enough contracts, and we have a good system for dealing with that as well. Okay, sir. This system where we've got one guy changing the slides and the other one talking, it's not as coordinated, and I apologize for that, but he had the slides and I was unable to get the ability to cut them over, so we're going with what we have. All right. If you are thinking about joining our group in our chat room because you're a trading cowboy, or you're doing it for the adrenaline, or you're doing it for the action, let me tell you now, I think you'll be disappointed, because the majority of people that join our room, that understand our system and what we do, they're in there for added income. And we try to strive to make a steady 1 to 2 points a day, or a night in our case, and that can make a great month. So let me kind of give you an example of how that works. We will ask you to set a goal when you first join us, and let's just use this example that's on the screen, that you want to supplement your income by a couple $1,000s a month. Now you assume there are 20 trading days out of each month that means all you need to make is $100 a day. So once you set the goal, once you determine the number of dollars that you're trying to make on an average, now I say average because you're going to have some losing nights. You know it, and I know it. So if you can average $100 a day, maybe some nights you make $150, like we did the other night. Maybe some nights you make $50. Maybe some nights you lose. But average $100 a day, and guys and gals, this is not hard to do. You just, it will determine how many contracts you trade, how much risk you're going to take, because once you set that goal, it tells you how many points you want to go for. So if you're trading 2 contracts on an E-mini futures, all you have to do to make $100 is to hit 1 point. That's it. 1 point, you made your $100. Here's the hard part. And this is, I'm guilty of this one still, as many years as I've been trading. It's once you make your goal, you quit. Most of us, when we made that goal, we're sitting in front of the computer, we're watching the screen, and say, oh, this looks like a good place to get long or get short, and then we put a trade on. Okay, sir. So what we encourage you to do is treat Night Scalper as a job. I mean, this is what it is. You're in there to supplement your income. You learn the process, you minimize your risk, don't overtrade, reach your goal, quit for the day or the night in this case. You take a weekly or monthly profit from your account like a paycheck, and it's a system. It works and works consistently. Now, again, I know a lot of you are saying, I can't stay up all night. I will say that the majority of folks that trade in our chat room trade from 5 to maybe 11 or 12 at night, and they're done. About 30% of the room, and they're mostly foreigners or overseas folks, will stay up and trade after midnight. I will say here of late, where Europe has been weaker than the U.S. markets, as many of you are starting to see, we picked up on that a few weeks ago, and also weaker than the Asian markets. Well, we've had this real interesting dynamic where, the markets go up during the Asian session, and then we can short them into Europe. Once the U.S. opens, it's anybody's guess. All right, so we have some customized technical indicators. Woody is going to come on. He developed a lot of these after he started trading with us after he left NASA. I'm going to give him a few minutes. Joe, how much time do we have left?
You have about 7 to 8 minutes, so you're good to go for about 7 to 8 minutes. If you go about a minute or two over, that's fine also.
Okay, Woody, take about 4 minutes and tell them about your indicators.
Okay. Can you guys hear me? Can I get a mic check? Anybody hear me? Okay, good. All right. What we have is we do project the foreign market data that Bill talked about live in our room. So if you had a subscription with us, you don't require to have that in addition. We have a DOME indicator. We have IB levels. We have some other signals in there, River, Bollinger Bands. I'll just show you what they are. And I don't know if you can see my cursor or not, but in this area right here is where we project the foreign markets and the bonds and the other markets that we look at. This chart here shows the price action and some of our other indicators, the volume. This is a good indication of volume showing the price change and movement. We show a time and sales window. Bill talked about the DOME. He has a way of doing it where he adds it up manually. We have an indicator that does it for you automatically in the room. The thing about the DOME that's kind of unique is that the price moves in the direction of the most number of contracts. So if the bid side is high, then the price will move lower. If the ask side is high, contract-wise, the price will move higher, and that's kind of counterintuitive. A lot of people don't get that, but that's something that we get into. We also use these IB levels, and what they are is the initial balance of the first hour of the market. They kind of set the pace for the rest of the day, and then these other levels are produced as a function of that first hour, and those are displayed in our room. And I don't want to take too much time here, but we have this in the slides. If you get a copy of them, you'll get the information. I'm going to scoot on down here to the end. Okay. I'm going to turn this back over to Bill.
All right, that was quick. All right, so as we said, the trading method, the areas that we key on are key market times, because it's important at night that you know what these times are, because there are different international markets that are opening and closing, which affect the movement in the S&P. Guys and gals, you don't have to become an international economist to do this stuff. In fact, I'll tell you this right now. I've been doing this as long as anyone you will meet in terms of trading futures in the Globex. If you want to learn to trade futures, the Globex is a better place to trade it, because it's a slower moving market and you have a lot less volatility. It's not complicated. All the information you need, we provide you, news items and what have you. So the key market times, proprietary signals, and Greek isms and money management. Okay, sir? Real quick, Woody, if you want to put that chart up. Now, we don't have time to leave this up and go through it, but he'll put the, that's pretty much our chart. Last I looked, Woody, if you want to type it in the room, we're up over 1,000 so far this month. I will tell you the last 2 months we didn't hit our goal, because it was just a tough, for me anyway, June and May. But hopefully we're back on track this month. We always make enough money, hopefully, to cover, you know, the cost of the room, which I'll talk about in a second. Okay, sir. So again, as I said, regardless of your experience, if you want to learn to trade futures, the Globex is the place to do it. Whether you do it with us or not, that's another question. Every trader, as I said before, should understand the Globex market, whether you're going to trade it or not. That is 17 hours of the 24-hour market that you're leaving on the table. All right, Night Scalpers Trading Den 24, and you're probably wondering what that is. We're going to make this offer to you, and we're in the process of building. We haven't filled up the clock entirely yet, but we're going from broadcasting trades in the chat room from 5 in the evening till 5 in the morning. We're slowly adding on traders to trade currencies and S&Ps and options and other markets. And we're going to go to a 24-hour room for the same price as those people have been paying for the trading in just the Globex. And I believe that when we are complete with setting this 24-hour room up and we get the traders in that we want and hope to have, then you will have probably the only live 24-hour chat room in the country, possibly around the world, that we know of. We don't know of another. In fact, we don't know of anyone who operates in the Globex at night the way we do. There are lots of chat rooms, lots of people calling trades, but not 24 hours around the clock calling different markets, different financial markets, such as, like I said, currencies, bonds, and we hope to have a diverse group of traders where you can choose what time of day suits your trading style and how everything works in your best interest. So we're going to have, so far we have 8 to 11:30 scalping E-mini futures now. This is during the day. This is very different than what we do at night. And then we kick in at 5 at night with our after hours or Globex market, which is what we've been talking about for the last few minutes. And that'll go from 5 p.m. till 3 a.m. We hope to have some folks come in and call currencies early in the morning, have option traders in the midday and afternoon. And you've got 30 days to try this system to see if it works for you. So you get a 1-month trial for $47. That's to see if it works for you the way we say it does. If everything looks the way we just talked about today, I promise you, if you learn one thing by being in our chat room, and at first Tuesday of every month, we have education. We don't hold back anything and say, oh, pay some more money and we'll teach you this. Everything we know, everything we do, all the indicators, we teach in these first of the week, at first Tuesday of every month. We do a webinar, and it's strictly for education. It's in a separate room, so as not to interfere with those who are in the chat room trading. It's $47 for 30 days, and I promise you, you will learn one thing. That I know for sure. You probably learn a lot of information that will help you as an investor, number one, and make you a better trader. So 1 month is $47, and then it renews at $147 a month. Now, once we get the 24-hour clock filled up, we're not there yet, then we're going to go to $199 a month. But if you're in the room before all that happens, you're grandfathered at the $147, but you have $47 for 30 days to see if this works the way we say. All right, so that is our program. That's what we do. I apologize for going through this in a quick manner. I apologize for maybe talking too fast. And also let me apologize for not being able to switch the screens myself. Next time we hope we'll have that resolved. And the other problem I'm having is I can't see questions in my, let's see here. Oh, that didn't do it either. So if you have any questions, Woody, if you can see the questions, I'll let you go ahead and answer them until Joe tells us or whoever that we're done. So I don't have a questions box on my.
Okay, I see. I do see some. I see some questions. I've been typing some answers, but I can speak to them.
All right, Woody, you go ahead and answer the questions.
I'm trying. Can you hear me? Okay, we don't trade commodities, oils, grains, etc. We just trade the E-minis.
But in the 24-hour room, we plan to expand towards currencies, bonds, and possibly trade some oil futures if we can find a good oil trader that we're comfortable with.
Yeah, in the daytime. Somebody came in late. They want to know what size trades do we normally place and what duration. The size is up to you. We recommend trading in pairs such that you can take off half your contracts at a certain level and change your stops and run to the end with for a greater amount with the remaining half of the contracts. Tools for Ninja. No, we don't have tools for Ninja available yet. We do project them in the room, and they're available to anybody that's in the trade room. Timetable for the 24-hour room is starting on Monday and progressing with more traders as we get them. But what platform do we tend to use? We do use NinjaTrader, but we don't offer indicators for them yet. We're working on that.
You can use any platform that you choose to use.
The time schedule for the trade room is basically 24 hours.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen.
In the evenings, 5 to 5 a.m., and it's open for the day.
Okay, Woody and Bill, do you have one more question you'd like to answer?
No, just to give the link to our stuff there.
Okay, great. Yeah, I've already sent out the link.
Real quick, though, let me be sure they understand. On the 24-hour room, we're in the process of building it. That's why we're keeping the prices of where they are. But if you're in the room, once we get that 24-hour clock filled up with traders, you'll stay and you're grandfathered at the 147. We'll go to the 199 once we get traders around the clock. But your trial, to see how the room works, to see if things work the way we say they are, $47 for 30 days.
Great. And if anyone did not receive the link, I sent it out to everybody. Please go ahead and send me a message, and I will send it out to you privately. Once again, I want to say thanks again to Bill Costarides and for Woody for the presentation today. They are from Night Scalper. I will be sending out their information for those of you that request it. So if you did not receive the links, go ahead and send me a message. I will send that out to you.